This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you heard me. So what's the latest? It's, what'd you say it was, 20?
20 degrees. Get your shorts out, head to the beach.
So it's 50 degrees warmer than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
About
That depends if you're standing in the wind or not.
50 degrees in one day. Well, we were talking about this just before the show started, that they got snow in northern Florida yesterday. Now, I lived in Jacksonville many, many years ago. I never saw a snowflake. I got to be very honest with you. I just, it's a whole different deal right now. People are nuts. And so we were talking, just before the show started. I got in 60 seconds of Fox and 60 seconds of CNN this morning before I had to turn it off, because all it is puking up hatred because you want to make money from it. I mean, that's what that's all about, It's about making money.
Yeah.
I swear to God, they get on the phone with each other. Fox calls CNN, CNN calls Fox. Okay, so I'm going to open the show this morning and punch you in the gut, and then I'll put you in a headlock, and then somehow you scrape my eyes, and I'll back in the gut. This is all-star wrestling. It's all Saturday night at the St. Paul Auditorium. And come on, man. Could you just serve how about if we serve the people? What do you say? No?
I'd like that.
Yeah.
I'd prefer that. I would love so much more if these elected officials did just put the nose to the grindstone and serve the people that elected them.
We're like one step away from this just being a reality show, like a Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or Real Housewives of whatever city you're watching, and that's American politics.
I just, I don't know. Like I said, I think I've made it clear my entire career, my entire life on this show and all the rest of them. All the stuff they're talking about, it's good, works for me. Like I said, stay away from the kids and the dogs. I'm good to go. Good for you. Try not to rob people or kill anybody. That'd be nice too. But I just, honest to God, I got 1 minute into both Fox and CNN. I had to turn it off because it's nothing but hatred for the other side, because that's how they make a lot of money. It's not real. I mean, I've said this before. I will tell you flat out the people I like and don't like from both parties. I got no problem with it. I guess your buddy Pete Hegseth is having another problem that apparently he psychologically abused his wife, and other people are saying, no, he didn't, and saying, yes, he did. And I've told you before, he's a big-time Republican, whatever, but I've never cared for him. I've met him a couple of times in person, and you know how sometimes you walk up to somebody and you go, ooh, that person's got an edge to them.
Yeah, there's some people that you're like, the vibe that you're putting out, we should probably stay away from.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Why do you want to be like that? Why don't we, here's what I've decided as president of the United States, I'm going to try to make people happy. Gee, there you go. It's not about making money. I'm sorry. You're all treating it like it's a big money machine for you, and I suppose you have I got to be honest with you, the last president, I suppose Eisenhower did a nice job coming out of World War II. I don't know. I wasn't born yet, so I don't know, but I assume he did a pretty good job. But Teddy Roosevelt might be the last really good president we ever had. What was that, about 150 years ago?
Yes, something like that.
It's a long time. Stop complaining and serve the people, for Christ's sake. Right?
Yeah, and if they did more to serve the people, I would be happier in paying taxes and whatever else to inflate your salary if it was because you were getting stuff done. Let's make this a performance-based thing rather than we vote you in and here's your check and now we never hear from you again.
Minimum wage until we have a checklist of all the stuff that you promised on the campaign trail.
You knock out 25%. Okay, here's a little bump in your pay. Here's 50%, another bump. Yeah.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, how about some nice, friendly politicians instead of bitching about the other side nonstop on national television? Why don't we do that? Not going to happen.
Oh yeah, or if you're going to tell us something negative, give us also 2 points that you're this actually is kind of a good idea, so we can try to move things forward a little bit. Yeah.
When the KQ Morning Show blew up in 1987, I mean, so that's 40 years ago. Almost. I still look back fondly at the phone calls I would get. And this, I don't mean this in a negative way, in any way, shape, or form. And Amy Klobuchar would know. Hope I'm getting a little echo there. Where did that all of a sudden come from? There, now it's gone.
All right.
Tevin, what the hell were you doing in there? I saw that look on your face.
I press the echo button every once in a while.
Yeah.
There's a little switch.
There's a shock.
Keep you on your toes.
But anyway, I like Amy Klobuchar. I think she likes me, but I've never met her, ever. Because, her saying hello to me, the party'd probably get pissed off at her or whatever. But I used to get a call from her father, Jim Klobuchar, who was a damn good writer for the Star Tribune for years. And he would have a few cocktails. And I'm not revealing anything to try to hurt Amy Klobuchar or whatever, but he was a big boozer. I mean, he was.
Yeah, well, what seasoned guy has not enjoyed a couple cocktails here and there?
A minute? You mean a couple cocktails a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, God bless him. But when I would see him in person, and he wasn't into the glass yet, he was a very smart guy, very good writer, and all the rest of it. But God, about once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'd get a call from him, and he'd just start raging at me. I was like, oh God, Jim's been having a couple of wheels. Let me just tell you something. You said something. It's like, Jim, relax. It's a show. First of all, calm down. Everything is good. But I was looking back on that, watching these people just rail on each other about, I hate you. No, I hate you more than. And I still think, and I really do think, they get behind the scenes in some office somewhere in Washington, D.C. and go, okay, well, I'll come out and I'll do a step over toe hold on you, and then you put me in a headlock. I think these people get together in the dark of night and go, okay, here's how it's going to go tomorrow. We're going to cause trouble, and then you're going to fight back. And that it just seems way too planned for me.
Yeah, and even like locally, when everybody didn't show up to whatever meeting or vote that was supposed to happen, it's like you could have spent the 2 weeks leading up to it when you all knew this was going to happen,
Sure.
trying to figure out how we can avoid this ridiculous situation. But instead, you just kind of punted on the whole thing, and we're like, yeah, not show up.
I know. I don't understand. You are supposed to serve the people, not be an arrogant prick. That would be good if you didn't do that. And it's both sides. Don't get me wrong. I got no dog in this fight because I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. And people, by the way, call me a coward for being a centrist, which I think is hilarious. I'm trying to look at both sides, which makes me a coward. Okay.
I just want my taxes to go down and to not pay $1,000 at the grocery store. Do whatever else you guys got to do to make that happen.
That would be nice. I see. I would have to agree on you. That would be very, very nice. We'd have to pay $1,000 at the grocery. And by the way, he's not that far off some days. Seriously, we go to the grocery store once in a while, and it's a lot of money, man. Woo!
Oh God, yeah.
So
It's crazy how much that's just like you go and it's like, all right, I want to get a loaf of bread. What's the old commercial, Tom? Maybe you might know this, but it's the girl skipping down the street and it's like a loaf of bread, a jug of milk, and a box of cereal or whatever. And then it keeps changing and stuff until it's eventually just like Wheaties the entire.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like that order now is probably like $67 just as is.
No question about it. And by the way, you guys pointed it out. And the first thing I see after you point out that you go spend $1,500 at the grocery store, the very first headline I looked at is Netflix is getting more expensive again.
Oh my God. Dude.
Yeah, they always bump it like $2 and you get an email at like midnight. Hey, just, 2 extra.
Oh, God.
This is the last time. And then like 6 months later, it's $2 more.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. What's a hamburger now at McDonald's? About $15? I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, well, now I
actually think
got the $5. Yeah, they're trying to lower their prices.
They're $5 menu.
A value menu.
Value menu. There you go.
Who knows?
But the sad thing is it's kind of like when they lowered the taxes here in Minneapolis or Minnesota by like whatever the 0.75%.
0.06.
Or yeah, they we're used to the dollar menu, so don't raise the price of that
Right.
one's $5 menu.
Right.
Like, we don't care.
Yes.
Bring us back the dollar menu.
Yeah, it's a whole different deal. Yeah, no question about it. Boy, I don't even know if I should broach this up. Well, first of all, I got to get something. I wasn't going to talk about this, but no, it's too funny. I got to talk about it. So I was invited to the inauguration of the president. And I didn't go because I first of all, it's way too crowded and it's way too political, and it's just not my kind of deal to go. I've been invited by a couple of different presidents to go to these things. One was a Democrat, one was a Republican. That would be Donald Trump. And so this morning, I got a package, and it was from the president's office, and it was a Make America Great Again hat. Mm-hmm. It's a black one that just says Make America Great Again. Mm-hmm. And I don't wear political hats or any of that stuff. I get sick of people shoving their political agenda down my throat, so I don't do it to other people. It's one of those kind of situations. So I went down to the lobby of the building, and I walk up, and there's this young man and young woman sitting there behind the desk, and I said, is blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah here? Oh, yeah, they're not here yet, but they will be here later on today. I said, well, I have something for them because I had gotten one of those like about a month ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. Another Make America Great Again hat or whatever. And it turns out there's a man and a woman that are, I don't know if they're married or they're just hang out together or what happens, but they're big Trump fans. So I figured, well, since I'm not going to wear this hat, I can, give it to them and tell them the story that it was actually sent by the president's people, and it's, quite an honor. I don't care who the president is, all the rest of it. I am not kidding you when I did this. I said, so I explained where it came from and why I got it, and I said, I don't know their names, but there are two people here that are big Trump fans, so could you just give this hat to them because I think they'd like it? And she gave me this stare. And then I handed her the hat, and she went just like this. Okay. It's a hat.
I'll defend the person behind the desk here.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a huge, I don't like going to, I don't like secondhand shopping for clothes. And for me, hats are like my one thing. I can, if you want to wear a sweatshirt that I own, I get it. I got to wash it before I put it back on, though. You're not putting on any hats. I think, you could have sweat in that. I don't like.
No. It was still in the wrapper.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's a different story.
I'm not going to get. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Here, let me piss in the hat and then give it to you.
3-mile walk. And
just dripping. Yeah. Why don't you want to grab it?
Let me take this off my hat and I'll just give it to them.
Here you are, miss.
But honest to God, the reaction she had to the fact that it was a Trump hat or whatever, and you get on the other side too. Would you people settle down and understand as we go to break here, ladies and gentlemen? I don't care if it's Republican, Democrat, centrist. It's all about money in D.C. It's not about helping you or me anymore. It's how much money they can make by helping you and me. That's what it's really about. So neither party's all that great right now. So calm down, for Christ's sake, right?
Oh, 100%. Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why anybody thinks their party is so superior. They're all a bunch of greedy a-holes.
Yeah, but we're not as greedy as the other side.
Oh, so that's what it is. Yeah, not as greedy as the other side.
Well, that makes sense.
There you have it. Okay, well, let's take a break and be right back. And I just want you to know here, wait a minute. Oh, I got to read a spot from this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, message listeners of the Tom Barnard Show, I have an announcement for you. I need just 5 of you listening to do me a favor. Do yourselves a favor, too. I need you to take advantage of a free offer, seriously free. I need you to call Josh Arnold at 952-925-5608. Tell him that Tommy sent you. Josh will meet with you for free and give you advice on investing, handling, and making money. He'll answer any and all of your questions about retirement, your 401k, IRA, or retirement savings, and it's free. What do you have to lose, right? I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Anyway, be one of my 5 listeners to pick up your phone now and call Josh. Josh is very smart about money. He can really help you out. And in these times, you need the help. There's no question about that. 952-925-5608. Ask for Josh, Mr. Money Talk. He'll give you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice about your investments, and that's for free. So call Josh now at 952-925-5608, but you got to tell him that Tommy sent you, and then call me afterward and thank me for the free service. Yes, I need the thanks. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance, no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice, and I am a paid endorser.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
If you've never been in an auto accident, it's hard to know what to expect from the insurance adjuster. Here are some tips. 1, if they taught you about whether or not you should hire a lawyer, it's a good sign that you probably should. 2, it's illegal for them to give you any legal advice. They aren't lawyers and they aren't licensed to practice law. 3, if they tell you that everyone involved in the accident is at fault, they're wrong. This comes from the belief that you're at fault for just being on the road. That's nonsense and not supported by any law. Finally, remember that friendly adjusters are often just gaining information. They want you to do most of the talking so they can file their report. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision. But if you are, don't sign anything until you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Let's take a second to talk about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company. If you own a business or are thinking about starting one, make sure to check out my friends at North American Banking Company. When your business is looking to capitalize on an opportunity or solve a problem, turn to their experts because they're locally owned and operated. Loan decisions are made here in the Twin Cities, not shipped out of state. This helps business owners expand with confidence. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Yes, you are. There's no question about it. Judd Zulgad. He's not wearing a hat. Did you throw away your Trump hat, too? Is that why you don't have a hat on today?
I didn't want you to talk about it, but yeah, I had.
I was just telling a story about, because I didn't go to the inauguration, his office sent me a hat, thanks for, we know you want, it was like, we know you wanted to come, but just couldn't, so we wanted to show you our thanks anyway. And I don't wear political hats. So I began talking about that, and I went down and gave it to the person at the front desk, and they literally went, if this were the hat, she was doing this.
Wait, so she thought it had been worn or what?
I guess that's what it was all about. I don't know why, because I was telling these guys it was still in the plastic wrap, so.
Well, that means she might not like the president. That's
what I'm thinking.
That might be it. I
have a question for you. Why would you invest that kind of emotion into any president of the United States? They're going to do what they want to do and make a ton of money doing it. Why would you let them bother you?
Because politics now bother, it feels like everyone, right?
It does. I mean, everybody's so pissed off right now. It is unbelievable.
They're either pissed off or they're celebrating, but in 4 years, the celebrating people might be pissed off, and pissed off people might be like, we just go back and forth. It's like a tennis match of politics.
But I think it's intentional as well. I think the whole thing is a scam to make money. I'm sorry, but our government is a scam to make money now. Didn't used to be, maybe back in the Teddy Roosevelt days. But it's all about money now. It's how much money can I make by becoming president of the United States? So I'll just rake in the dough, and then I'll pardon you on the way out. And then after, a couple months later, you can send me a big check.
How about the pardons, too? The pardons now.
I know.
I don't remember the pardons being this like when I was a kid, when Carter left. I don't remember like Carter pardoning a ton of people. It's very
no, and Biden pardoned like everybody and their mother on his way out the door. Like I didn't even know there was anybody left to pardon. And then Trump comes in and he pardoned everybody else that was left. So we're just, you get a pardon, you get a pardon.
And Biden gave preemptive pardons. I've never seen that before. Yeah. He's like, you're guilty of nothing, but you're pardoned. I didn't even know that you could pardon people who hadn't been indicted.
Oh, this Fauci is. I got two guys right now. Fauci on one side and Pete Hegseth on the other. Not a fan of either one of them. I've met both of them. Not my, you know how it feels when you look somebody in the eye and you go, ooh, that's not my kind of person.
Sure, yeah.
That's how uncomfortable those people are to me.
I had never heard of Fauci until COVID.
No, absolutely not. No question.
But I mean, he'd been working for the president and the government forever, right? It turned out.
Yeah, I guess so. So
I never heard of him.
Boy, I tell you, to this day, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and his business still isn't doing distributions because after 4 years, because that whole COVID thing did so much damage to his business.
Well, I mean, you look at the amount of places that closed down.
Oh God! Well, somebody told me Revival
Restaurants.
closed.
Revival did close
Yep.
everywhere. I saw in the
All
start-
7 of them.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that briefly yesterday? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. I think they closed. What I heard was they were about to have some financial issues where they weren't going to be able to pay
Yeah.
their staff, and so it was either
Right.
like kind of keep trying to push through, and they were like, you know what, let's just pull the plug, give everybody their last check, and call it a day.
You know what? Because Revival was damn good. 7 of them. I mean, to build 7 of them, you had to make some pretty damn good money. There's no question about that. What are people just not going to restaurants as much as they used to, or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Revival specifically, but the few times that I was there, I mean, they definitely did have their busy periods, but I think outside of the kind of peak weekend hours, it never seemed like it was really over busy.
What was this, a restaurant? I've never heard of
Yeah.
Revival.
Yeah, there was like multiple locations, obviously, but it was like they were known for their fried chicken and like Southern style food.
Yeah.
And they also switched to started doing like Italian hoagies and like pizza.
Well, there's your issue.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
it could
mixed.
be.
The menu, it's like
Started to do
Cheesecake
too much,
Factory.
yeah.
You can only get one corner of the market, I feel like.
I would like to thank Tevin personally for just making me very uncomfortable by mentioning my 2 favorite foods in the world. Pizza and chicken wings.
Oh.
Man, I could eat chicken and wings and pizza for dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And good fried chicken. Terrible for you, but so good. I mean, it's like seriously awful. It's like, but it is so good. But yeah, too bad. And it's just incredible that, and you know, I know that that's always been a volatile business, but the amount of restaurants that closed during COVID and then like now,
Yeah.
you just have, and what a harsh business where you're literally deciding, just pulling the plug and having to inform your employees.
I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we'll not say where or when or whatever, but it was in the Twin Cities. And they told me that their business was getting its ass kicked because they were redoing the street in front of it. So it was blocked off for I don't know how many months.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not doing any business because people couldn't get to the restaurant. They finally finished it up and then sent out a notice that they were going to tear down the bridge a block away and rebuild it. It's like, oh my God.
Oh, no.
Oh, Jesus.
Uptown had that. There was
Yes, right.
The last time I checked, and I don't go down there a lot these days, but there was, I mean, one of the streets was completely closed, and it took an act of God to find your way to the restaurants on that street.
And Iron Door in Uptown, that's on its way out. They're closing, I believe, at the end of the month because they're about to rip up. I think they're ripping up Lindale, if I remember correctly. And they were, and they're like, well, nobody has a way to get here, so they're going to be closing it down.
So a question I have. Our government, I don't care if it's a state, local, federal, whatever it is, it's all about money. There's no question. Because money, money, money. They're all making tons of money. How do you not understand you're harming a business that paid a lot of taxes and you benefit from those taxes? Why don't you watch their back and yours at the same time?
Yeah. Well, and I guess there is, so the state, when they rip up the street, like, businesses can fill out a form that says, hey, here's the amount of money that we're losing out on, and they get reimbursed some portion of that, or there's some sort of grant program that goes on. But I guess the qualifications and the hoops you have to jump through to prove that you made the money that you made is a little bit difficult for maybe a mom and pop restaurant that doesn't have the most efficient back of house bookkeeping system.
What are you going to do, man? People, do people... A lot of people not care about anybody else. It's all about me, whatever I need.
Yeah, we got to put the bike lane in. You know,
that's a good question, though. In a lot of cases, I think that you're right, but in some cases, I just think that people have these really unusual ideas of what's important.
Yeah, well, most people don't. They wouldn't know how a personal business like that would run anyway. They have no idea how to make money doing it. It is not easy to run a restaurant and make business anyway.
Oh,
no.
You know, make a little money on the side. And some do very, very well at it, no question about it. But people don't understand. That's a lot of work. And then when you allow or don't allow access, you're going to cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem.
Yep.
I can't get this. Really good, but I can't get there.
You know, I know this is a sports segment, but we really don't have any sports to talk about, do we? Is there anything going on?
No, the Gopher basketball team did win a second consecutive game.
There
so
you
shout
go.
out to them because those are their only 2 conference wins of the season.
I have a bone to pick.
Okay.
I need to know who the lone moron is that left the illustrious, legendary Ichiro Suzuki off of their Baseball Hall of Fame ballot. He was a
You're kidding me.
99.7% vote inductee last night. First ballot for him, along with CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner.
10th time for him.
10th time for him. Who is the idiot that left Ichiro off of their ballot? Judd, you don't vote, do you?
No, you have to be in the Baseball Writers Association of America for 10 years, and I've not been in it
Pat
at all.
Royce does, and he's one of like the lower or the lower numbers on like the registry now because of how long he's been in there. But like, that's almost like you should get your vote revoked.
Yes.
You should no longer be able to vote in coming years if you leave that big of a unanimous guy off of your ballot. That's insane to me.
What if he had a bad Japanese dinner one night and he's carrying a
That is
grudge?
true.
You know.
Oh, it's personal.
And wasn't Ken Griffey Jr. another one that wasn't
Yes.
unanimous that everybody was mad about?
The only player who has been unanimous was Yankees closer Mariano Rivera a few years back.
Which should have been.
Jeter got left off one. But the problem, too, is look at the amount of votes that are cast. Like, you're asking for problems. It should be a small...
Yeah.
They shortened up the group of a couple of years back. They basically said, if you haven't covered baseball in, like, the last 5 to 10 years, we're taking your vote away. But they still have too many ballots out there. Like, you're asking for problems when you allow this many people to vote.
You know, I was just thinking through this whole situation. I've never voted on that stuff. I'm not in that association or the rest of it. But I was trying to think of who was my hero. And I think my heroes, there were some great players like Rod Carew. I never really got to know Rod at all, but I got to know Harmon Killebrew, and I just loved that man. What did he hit, like 600 home runs or something? It was a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 something. Nicest. Did you ever get to meet Harmon Killebrew?
Yeah.
Oh, what a nice man.
A prince of a man, as they say.
No question about it. But there were a lot of really good... Twins have had some people over the years. I always liked Jim Cott, a great guy. I don't want to leave. My favorite was the poem, and I can't remember who it was that wrote the poem. It was about Rod Carew taking, I think I mentioned it a few days ago, Rod Carew taking too far a lead off of third base.
Yeah, you did.
I thought I did. Here lies the body of Rod Carew, lined to left by Killebrew.
That is great.
That is a great poem.
But by the way, Killebrew hit 573 home runs.
Oh, so he's just short of 600.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, nicest guy. I got to be honest with you. Most Twins. I mean, you know, Herbeck and I are friends, and Roy Smalley. I've always liked him. Gary Gaetti and I got to be really good friends. Timmy Laudner. I mean, you know what it means for me to grow up in North Minneapolis as a huge Twins fan, and now all these years later, I'm really good friends with a lot of all-star players who won 2 World Series. Man.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Very
but
cool.
you just couldn't get Gladden. You couldn't get Gladden.
No, I couldn't get. To this day, I still can't get Gladden. Not a fan of mine. I don't know what the hell I did to him. I must have mentioned that he dropped the ball or something, so I was a bad guy from then on.
I was going to say, because I'm sure that you talked about him on the Q at the time, but I mean, they won a lot of baseball games back then.
I don't remember saying all that much bad stuff about him. I think I did make fun of him one time on the air about the way he was eating his hamburger over at the convention grill.
Oh, okay, that might have done it.
That might have done it.
I could see him getting wind of that back in the day.
Dan, settle down. You're a hell of a player, man. And I love the way he jumped on home plate. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Jumped on home plate. That was phenomenal.
He's a fiery guy, and he was absolutely key because they acquired him. What was it? The spring or winter of '87 before they won that World Series, and they didn't have at the time a prototypical back in the day guy to hit first.
Right.
You know, and so he came in and filled that role back then, and he was a hell of an acquisition.
Hell of a player. I looking back on those teams, and it's kind of sad we have to look back 40 years to talk about positive Twins baseball. Sports exactly, but the thrill of all that, it was just, well, the second World Series, I was at Mama B's that night, and I think I was there to pick up some food for takeaway or whatever, when the Twins won their second World Series, and that place went crazy.
Oh, it was great, yeah.
I had guys coming over kissing me on the cheek, and I was like, gee, what the hell?
What a
I just
great
talk
game
about
seven.
them. Yeah, 87 and 91 were amazing. No question about it, but I guess we'll just keep moving on with life, and I think, maybe when I'm about 150, they could win the World Series again.
Oh, that's probably true. Hey, last thing. Do you suppose your hat got tossed?
It's a possibility.
You suppose that you walked away
It's a
and she's
possibility.
like this, and
Yeah.
then she just like, no. She just like eased it towards the dumpster and went, boop.
And again, the only reason I would give it to anybody anyway is because I'm not going to wear it. I don't wear political hats and that kind of stuff. I don't need to shove my opinion down your throat, that kind of deal. I've never really cared. I mean, you want to wear a hat like that, good for you. That's fine. But being
Right.
a public figure and doing that is a different argument, don't you think?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you came on the show like wearing the hat, yeah, it would be odd.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I just don't do that kind of thing. And these people, the guy and this woman really love Trump, and God bless them. I know people that love Joe Biden. Good for you. I'm not wild about either one of them, but I don't hate them. But I just, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you that thing might be in the dumpster as we speak.
I have a feeling that she like barely touched it. She's like, ooh, and then she like just tossed it.
Yeah.
You know, think about that.
Wash your hands.
I didn't give her the note that came along because there was a handwritten note in there thanking me for whatever. I didn't do anything, so I don't know what they're thanking me for. But let me close with this. Growing up in extreme poverty in North Minneapolis, no dad around, all the rest of it, the fact that the President of the United States gives a rat's ass about me makes me feel good. And I don't care who the president is.
Right. Just a title.
It's just that, and the reason I bring that up is this is still America. You can still do damn well in America, man. If I can do it, you sure as hell can. There's no question about that.
And
Right?
you can get rich if you get into politics.
If you're into politics, you become a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, you can do really well for yourself.
But settle down, everyone. I got to be honest with you. No matter who wins these presidencies, I don't see much of a difference. It leans one way or the other, but it's the same argument. I'm going to take care of my friends, and I'm going to pocket a bunch of money. That's what it is now.
It's like a fraternity is what you're telling me.
Yeah, that's a fraternity now. That's very, very true.
All right.
So, like I said, I think, well, we set a bad precedent with George Washington. That's all I'm saying.
It's been all downhill since then.
It's been all downhill.
CNN report why George Let's do a roundtable on George.
I lasted 60 seconds on both Fox and CNN this morning before I turned it off. There is so much hatred being puked out on those two channels.
Well, it's all debates.
It's unwatchable. It is
yeah.
unwatchable.
It's not the news anymore.
No, it isn't. It's all about it's about making money by being extreme. So the people, there are people pissed off at me on social media because I'm taking a middling position. But it's not, I'm afraid to lean this way or that way. It's like, I got no dog in this fight. They're okay. I've never met Biden. I have met Trump several times, talked to him and all the rest. And I think it was God's coincidence that I didn't get a ballot anyway. Catherine did get one, but I never got one. So there is a God.
Yeah. Well, she didn't get a hat, did she?
She didn't get a hat, though. That's exactly.
She should go retrieve your hat from the dumpster. That's going to be worth thousands on eBay in 50 years.
Yeah, that's very true.
Be a great collector's item. All right, guys.
No, before you go, let me say this, and I'm very serious about this. I like how four guys can sit and talk about politics from different perspectives and not get all pissed off. It doesn't happen very much anymore, so I do appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to get pissed off about that.
No, the other two guys aren't either.
Yeah, I don't have time to. I am too preoccupied with being pissed off at Minnesota sports, Tom. Now, if you want to talk about Minnesota sports, I'll get pissed off.
I love that take. It's a good take.
Thank you very much.
All right, young man, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Take a break. Be right back in a couple of seconds. Chris Egert up next. This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. Mike Lindell and his employees want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows now, only $14.98. I cannot believe I'm even saying that, only $14.98, but it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get My Body Pillows for $29.98 and use multi-use My Pillows for only $9.98. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code TOM, or call 800-516-5146. Use promo code TOM to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98 and Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain, and chip issues all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, well, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? You know, inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings, or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, Channel 5's Chris Egert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. I received a couple of messages about going to the White House and all that stuff back in the day. I think Andy and Alex were maybe 10 and 12 or something like that. And they asked me what my favorite moment of being in the White House was. And I'm here to reveal and tell you a story that you've never heard before, I don't think. So where the press room is now, at least at that time, I don't know if it's still like that, but at that time, the press room was where the pool, it was just literally boards over the top of the pool. When the press would come and watch and all that stuff. So I walk in there, and the guy that's giving us the tour says, "You want to see something really cool?" Because the guy was from Minnesota, by the way. I won't say his name, but he was from Minnesota. In any case, big fan of the show, thank God. He said, "I'm going to show you something I'd never show anybody else." I said, "Okay, thank you. I won't." He said, "You can't tell anybody, though." I said, "It'll be years." So now it's years, because I've never told this story before. So Catherine, Andy, and Alex and I are in the White House, now the press room, right? And he goes over, and he takes one of the, what are they, 3/4 of an inch thick plywood, the 8x4 plywood planks, those things. Mm-hmm. He lifts one up, pushes it back, and you look in, and there's the swimming pool, right? There's no water in it or anything, but it's just the swimming pool is still there. And he said, you know why I'm showing you that spot right there? And I said, no. Why are you showing us that spot right there? And Andy and Alex were at the other end of the pool looking at stuff, thank God. Said, that spot right there is where JFK used to bang all the women.
Oh. That's the tour I want to be on. I want to know the mischievous things that go on in the White House.
I will never forget that.
I agree with you, Tevin.
Yeah.
And then he says to me to close, hey, Tom, you're a Catholic boy. What do you think of that? Because JFK was the first Catholic president. So he said they're banging women in the pool. Good God. What a story that was.
Yeah,
and the other
that's
one,
crazy.
This one's much more brief, but I think I've mentioned this before. Ruth Bader Ginsburg went in the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So you had, let me get this. Yeah, you go. Chair, chair, chair. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's chair. Chair, chair, chair. Her chair was at least 2 feet higher than everybody else's. That's how short that woman was.
I knew she was short, but I had no idea that was wow.
I mean, that thing was like 2 feet above everybody else, so her head would be on the same spot as theirs.
She was 5'1".
Well, I don't think she was that tall. I think that's even. I think she was like 4'10", something like that, actually.
5'1" in heels.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So what's going on in your world, Chris Egert?
Well, it's interesting that you brought up the White House press corps, because I was reading an article this morning that the White House press secretary who does all the briefings for President Trump is the youngest ever. She's 27 years old.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know that much about her background, but I was thinking about that and putting myself in her shoes at age 27.
Yeah.
That's that can be a pretty relentless job right there, and they take a lot of heat and end up having to do a lot of not easy work from a communication standpoint. So I thought it was interesting. That made me think of that.
No question about it. I did see some headlines this morning. They're going after Pete Hegseth again because I guess he was psychologically cruel to his wife or something.
Allegations made by his former, the woman married to his wife, who's not, or married to his brother, who's not married to them anymore. And the allegations also, the ex-wife who supposedly was abused, also signed off on an affidavit saying he didn't abuse me.
Oh, she did?
Yes.
See, I didn't hear that part yet. I was getting ready to go for a walk and all that stuff, so I only saw the fact that they were going after him again because, and again, I'm very honest about this. I'm not a fan of Pete Hegseth. I've met him a couple times, and he's not my kind of guy. He just isn't.
Well, just for what it's worth, this particular whatever's being alleged has been out there, and it's not necessarily. I guess I'd read the fine print on that story before anybody, make a big hasty judgment on that either way, which we should be doing with everything these days, because I think it's pretty easy to see a headline and just automatically take that at face value without looking into it a little bit more. So.
Okay, I have a question for you and me, because we're both married. The other two guys on the show are not married. At least did you get married recently that I didn't know of?
Nope, no shotgun wedding for me.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
Another Doug Sprinthall's here.
I've been married 3 times, so these guys could borrow one of mine.
I'll take his second marriage.
Ooh, you picked the wrong one.
So we're talking about, Hegseth maybe psychologically torturing his wife, and they're saying he did, and then they're saying he didn't. So I have a question for Doug, for Chris, and for me. Do you feel that our wives torture us with their beauty?
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get... Good job.
Right behind you.
I love that. Well, it's anguish. How am I possibly going to please somebody so beautiful?
Let's see. You got it all figured out, Tommy.
That's what I'm saying, man. So what are the big stories of the morning, Mr. Egert? Any big ones?
It's been a fairly slow local news overnight. There's something went down in Uptown. We're not really quite sure yet where the Cub is. Trying to get confirmation on that from police. we had a local story that our Jay Coles did, which I thought was pretty interesting. I won't, if people want to read it, it's on our website. There's a local school administrator who's in trouble with Golden Valley police for not reporting an incident at his school where one kid hit the other kid with brass knuckles and really injured him.
Are brass knuckles illegal?
Yeah, it's a felony.
And so,
Shark.
I bet.
What's that?
Was he a jet or a shark? Sorry, that's a 50s.
I got you. The assistant principal took the brass knuckles, put them in the desk drawer, and after the fact, police had to come and get a order to be able to come and search the school, and they found the brass knuckles in his drawer. So he's in a bit of a pickle over this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess to some extent, I kind of understand a school administrator wanting to handle your own business and not necessarily involve police. I mean, clearly that's what. But on the other hand, if my kid got the crap beat out of him with somebody with brass knuckles, I sure as hell would want the police to know about it, right? So
no question.
If there's a scuffle, I understand keeping that in the school
for sure.
That sounds like assault.
Right, you brought a weapon
with a weapon,
right?
Like
so
different.
That was a story we had this morning. I thought was pretty interesting. So
no question about it, man. So everything else is good.
Everything else is groovy.
Ooh, groovy. With everything else is groovy.
Groovy.
So just remember, if you ever go in the press room again, I don't know, they may have changed it all by now because that was a long time ago, but it's where JFK used to bang all the women, that one corner of the pool.
They should put a little plaque there or something.
It's like a Hollywood walk.
They probably need a big plaque for all the names.
Yeah, probably true.
Like the Stanley Cup.
That's funny, Doug.
All right, Mr. Egert,
All right,
I know
guys.
you got to go, but we'll talk to you tomorrow, Pally.
Have a good day. Bye.
You too. Thank you, sir. Channel 5's Chris Egert, brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. We shall take a break. Be right back. Doug's in studio with us. Everything is good. Be right back.
Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Austin Bartz of Bartz Lawn and Landscape and Bartz Snow Sculptures.
I started banking with North American, I think, 3.5 years ago. All the people know me by name. I know them by name. It's fun to come into the bank and actually talk to somebody you know. So I made the switch and I'm very happy. It's the best bank I've ever been at.
So why not bank where I bank? With my friends at North American Banking Company. To learn more about North American Banking Company, go to nabankco.com. That's nabankco.com, or do what I do and stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's time for Bradshaw and Bryant. At this time of year, something that we might not think about, slipping and falling on ice when you're out, or worse, someone slipping and falling on your property. Property owners are legally responsible for maintaining a safe environment for visitors. You can post a caution sign or de-ice the area. Failing to do either and somebody getting injured because of your lack of safety precaution can be considered negligent. If someone does slip and fall and suffers an injury, they have a certain amount of time to file a claim, or you lose your right to collect any damages for your injury. If this happens to you, contact an experienced attorney right away. It's free to meet to go over your case. Contact Mike Bryant of Bradshaw and Bryant at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. I hope this never happens to you, but if it does, Mike Bryant is the one I recommend to all my friends and listeners.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you. They're making it through. Mike Lindell and his employees want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows now for only $14.98. Yes, I said $14.98. I cannot believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98, but it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get My Body Pillows for $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code TOM, or call 800-516-5146. Use promo code TOM to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98. now is only $14.98. Queens at $18.98 and kings only $1 more. Not only that, orders $75 or more ship absolutely free. My Pillow, baby. That's all I got to say.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast.
You horn tootin'. That's all I have to say. Amy cutting the promos for us. Now we're talking. All right.
Oh yeah, right.
Professional. That's all I'm saying. So, Dougie, what's the latest on your day?
Well, I was just telling Tevin, I started something yesterday that has been long overdue, and I thought it was a great idea until I woke up this morning. So I signed up for some physical therapy because my legs ever since I had back surgery, my leg strength is terrible. I can't ride bikes anymore.
Oh.
And this woman was really great, or so I thought, until I woke up this morning and tried to get out of bed. My legs, I'm sure she just kicked my ass. And fortunately, the insurance company's paying for it, but I'm gonna go through the torture sessions and see if I can get some strength back.
So you're okay though?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
Long run.
I think this is what was supposed to happen.
Oh, really? A little anguish.
Apparently, spending most of the winter sitting in a chair arguing with strangers on Facebook isn't great physical strength training. This is kind of groundbreaking stuff.
Doug and I were talking about that this morning, that, to get on social media. And again, I'm in a pretty tough position because I'm finding myself, I'm mostly not agreeing with anyone on anything because I think their positions are they're just too severe. I'm way left. I'm way right. It's like, whatever. Calm down.
Well, I was telling Tom this. We talked before the show started, and I did something, and I'm like, yeah, this probably isn't going to end well, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm friends with Bob Kroll on Facebook. I've known Bob for a long time. We used to do a team up for a charity thing. It was kind of like the cops version of Toys for Tots. Mm-hmm. Don't agree with all his politics, but we were old mini-Neapolitans, and he had posted something yesterday. Yep. Believe it or not, Bob's a little conservative politically. I know this is
just a little.
Yeah. Something about, I would like to hear my Dem friends weigh in on, and then he cut and pasted a lot of the executive orders that Trump had signed the day before.
Right.
They said, well, Bob, I assume you're talking to me because you don't have any other Democratic friends. And here's what I think. Some of these are pretty good. Some of them I'm not a big fan of, and some the Supreme Court's going to overturn. That's what it is. And a couple of guys started on me, and I said, look, here's my take on, foreign aid. If you look at history, there's a lesson to be learned from what America did after World War I. Basically, Woodrow Wilson had the flu and didn't go, and the French just barbecued the Germans financially, ruined it,
right?
Which led to World War II, and not the whole thing, but it was a big part of it.
Right.
And then you look at what we did after World War II. It was the Marshall Plan, where basically we spent a shitload of money to rebuild Europe. It was a lot of dough. Mm-hmm. We have not had to go over to Europe to fight another war in the last 80 years. So to me, that's money well spent. And a couple of guys are like, I never knew about that, and that is kind of interesting. I just hate spending money. And it was we're having good conversations. Picked up a couple of listeners. Are you the guy? Are you the Doug Sprinthal that was on KQ? I said, no, that was another Doug Sprinthal. It's
different.
God, I miss Tommy. I says, well, believe it or not, this is your day. Here's a link to the podcast. Awesome. So anyway, I think that the moral of the story is you can't just talk in your own personal echo chamber. You're not getting anywhere. You have to be able to at least try to talk to people that have different viewpoints than you, and it's not always going to be successful, and there's always idiots out there, but this went much surprisingly well. I thought, okay, I'm just going to get torn up. But
Bob's another one that could join that club that we just talked about.
What is it, centrist?
Tortured, but why don't you just talk over everything I say now?
I'm sorry.
You had to get his little plug in.
No, that's fine. I'll be quiet now for the next 45 minutes. Hey, Jay, do you want to borrow my hat?
No.
What does it say? I didn't see what it says on your hat.
That thing over there.
What does it say?
I'm referring to something you said earlier. I'm sorry, Tom. I'll be totally quiet.
Oh, God. No, I forgot.
Don't worry, his mic is off now, Tom.
No, I was just going to say very, very briefly, he would be in that same club with tortured by his beautiful wife, feeling guilty that he's married to someone that beautiful. That's all I was going to say.
She is, well, most TV people they're superhumanly attractive, and Liz falls in that category. He posted, happy 7th anniversary. you lucky gal. And I thought that's pretty funny.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you lucky gal. So what else is, I'm glad you came in today because I saw a headline about something that that you would know about and I know nothing about. You don't need to warm up your car in the cold anymore?
I think people post that just to piss off Minnesotans.
Oh, okay.
Tevin's
taking it well. Like it's.
What do you mean you don't? It's cold. So
Yeah.
you have to warm it up.
It's partly right in that a car will warm up quicker if you're driving it rather than letting it idle. But when it's really cold, like it was yesterday, jumping in a gas-powered car, firing it up, and slapping in drive is terrible. And it's not just the engine. You've got to let the transmission fluid, power steering fluid, all that sort of stuff warm up a little bit, or you're going to cause damage. I think that, when it's 20 below, 2 or 3 minutes is fine. People that let them idle for half an hour while they're, slamming their last Jack and Coke at Bill's pool parlor is probably not a great strategy for a lot of reasons. That's not great for a car.
Right.
A minute or two when it's cold is, I think that's the most sensible thing. But that article shows up every year. And if you read the comments, I've been driving a diesel since 1914, and it's like, nobody cares, sir, quite honestly.
And especially like back then, nowadays cars are all like electric components and stuff like that. And so, like it's not the same, tank that was built back in the 40s.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, plus the fact, once you get off your ass and get a real job and build a garage.
Yeah, that's true. Although, some people do live in the cities and apartments.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. No question about that.
So you've got all the winter down there now, right? Well, probably not in West Palm, but
West
snow
Palm
in Florida?
It's 50. It snowed in Jacksonville, yeah.
All the way from Houston. The Auto Dealers Association convention is supposed to be in New Orleans, and nobody can get in there because it's I-10's all ice, and it's kind of a mess.
Yeah, 59 and rainy right now.
Yeah, that's a little off for winter.
Oh,
not terrible.
It definitely is. No, you're absolutely right about that. World Toilet Day was back in November. That's really nice.
Love it.
Great. But it should really be tomorrow because tomorrow is National Hot Sauce Day. Now, I do have to tell you up front, I do not care for hot sauce. I've never understood it. It's like, you want to put a little extra flavor in, but hot sauce is like, it covers up the flavor of the food to me.
Yeah, if you get the hot sauce that's like, double Reaper Devil's Juice.
Yeah. Right.
Like, okay, yeah, I don't want to just burn my mouth, but a quality hot
Right.
sauce where it adds some heat, but also some flavor.
I like the cheap stuff like Frank's.
Oh, yeah.
Crystal.
Yeah.
That's
Some Louisiana hot sauce. Yeah.
There's a place, I want to say it's in Minnesota. They're called Crybaby Craig's.
Yep.
They make phenomenal hot sauce, and that is
Really?
like always in the cupboard. It's definitely a little hot, but like what Tevin was saying, it's got more heat and flavor than it does like that hotness where it's going to burn your mouth.
Oh, okay.
It adds to like all the tacos that I eat. So
Apparently, they looked at each state's favorite hot sauce brand, and you guys said what, Frank's? Is that what you said?
Well, that's one of them because it's
One of them,
cheap, and
okay.
you can go to Sam's Club and get like 4 gallons for it's about 87 cents.
Yep.
or even like
AJ.
a sriracha is like all
Yeah.
super.
Sriracha.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to find Minnesota on here because every state is on here. They looked at each state's favorite hot sauce brand. There are 8 across all 50 states, but one brand still dominates. Would you know which brand that would be?
Probably Tabasco.
Yeah,
Still.
Yeah.
that's
Tabasco?
hot
Yeah.
sauce.
Yeah, you're probably right. Frank's Red Hot. That's
Yeah,
you
that's what I was
mentioned.
talking about.
It's the top choice in the Northeast, most in the Midwest, and a bunch of other states across the United States. It's number 1 in 28 different states.
Yeah. Wow. Go Frank.
Berman's hot sauce is a popular pick at Aldi's, basically a Frank's Red Hot knockoff, but cheaper. I've never even heard of it.
Same here.
Louisiana brand hot sauce is big in Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana. Cholula?
Ooh,
Yeah, that's
I love
Mexican.
Cholula.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's Mexican, I think.
Yep.
Was that Cholula Bankhead? Thank you very much. Great. There's an old reference. The two young guys have no idea what the hell I just said.
I'll give you a chuckle.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate
One of the biggest
it.
sluts of 100 years ago.
That's
We've
true.
been around quite a bit.
Tallulah Bankhead. 4 states, Utah, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Texas Pete. Never heard of that one.
Let me
No
guess where
Texas
that one's
Pete.
big. Texas.
Yeah, take a guess. Come on.
It's Rhode Island,
Alaska,
actually.
Nope. Virginia, North and South Carolina. It's not the number one in Texas. That's hard, probably hard to take, I would guess.
I would bet. Probably bad marketing.
Yeah.
No question about it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you're probably right about that. It's probably just bad marketing or some deal like that. Despite the name, it's actually been made in North Carolina since 1929. Some guy sued them for false advertising. That's not false advertising. Texas Pete could be a guy.
It's a little misleading because it's like knowing that, like, whatever. Memphis is known for barbecue, and then I open up a spot in Seattle and call it, Memphis Tevin's barbecue. So that way people just associate it with good barbecue of Memphis.
Okay.
Right. 3 different sauces. Each got one state. Tabasco in Hawaii, 505 Southwestern in New Mexico, and Tapatio. How many people on the radio this morning are going to say Tapatio?
Probably most of them.
Yeah, too many.
Too many. Okay, let me see if I can find. Well, isn't there a list of? Because I didn't see Minnesota mentioned at all. Did you? But they don't have a list of where
Minnesota. I think
swept up in the
I think
Franks.
it's ketchup.
Yeah.
It might be ketchup. Oh, you think it's up in the Frank's Red Hot? Let me click on that and see if that. It doesn't do anything.
Here, I went to the Instacart ad here, and I saw they have a map, and it looks like Minnesota is included in the Berman's category.
Oh, that's right. They did say it was mostly a Midwest, didn't they?
Which I've never heard of Berman's.
I haven't either. No.
Like, I feel like Frank's Red Hot dominates the Midwest, especially Minnesota, because you put that ish on everything.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I've never heard of Berman's.
What's weird about that is I'm looking at the national map and all the places I've ever lived. I lived in New York City and that whole deal. But the 2 biggest places I've ever lived, both Berman's is number 1 in both states, Minnesota and Florida, which kind of surprises me. Minnesota and Florida don't. And Georgia, apparently. Or is it, wait a minute. Yeah, Georgia.
Well, wait a minute. Most people that live in Florida are either from New York or Minnesota, right?
Well, that is true. But you get talking East Coast, West Coast pretty much.
Yeah.
I made a huge mistake when I, started staying in Florida because I followed Lou Nanny and Glenn Mason. So, I'm just screwed now.
Yeah, living in West Palm, that must suck.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
Oh,
it's a rough life.
Fabulous, wealthy, beautiful women and the great weather.
God. There are some attractive women. There's no question about that. Well, and Catherine, of course, leads the pack.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I've never heard of most of but I'm not a hot sauce guy. I think if food is prepared properly, you shouldn't have to bury the flavor.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's crazy.
Like the people that dump like A1 over a steak before they dry it. Like,
I think about it like accessories. Like, you can put a watch on, you can put a hat on or something, spruce up an outfit. Or you could go Johnny Depp, which is like you have 17 bracelets on your arm, and that's just too much. Like you can, in moderation, I think hot sauce adds to a dish for sure.
Evan, have you seen it's an old A1 meme? Because on the label it says since 1862.
Yep.
And the meme says, we're in the middle of a civil war. We're trying to free the slaves. What America needs is a good steak sauce.
Well, did it work? That's all I need.
They're around.
Yeah. No question about it. If your New Year's resolution was to get back on the dating scene, here's an interesting hypothetical for you. Someone posed this question to straight men online. If you walked into a room with 1,000 single women around your age, how many of them do you think would be attracted to you?
1,000.
All 1,000. Okay.
Hang on a second, Tommy. Are there blind women in the room?
Right.
I can smell Doug. Yeah, that's really great. So Tevin is going 1,000.
No, I'm not going. I'm not going 1,000.
Oh, yes, it's too late.
30% of them, maybe.
Okay. What do you got, Doug?
I'm going to go with. God, I'm 1,000,000. 4%.
4%.
And they'll all have daddy issues. It'll just be a disaster.
Okay. AJ?
Wait, is there 1,000 or 1,000,000 in a room?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
I'm gonna say like 150 to 200.
I love this. He goes, is there 1,000 or 1,000,000? He's going to go up to like 1,000,000.
Well, I want to have a little bit of confidence in myself. If there's 1,000,000, I say 100 to 150 to 200. That sounds like I have zero self-confidence. But that's like, I could probably get a couple over with with a couple jokes, and like I'm sure some are in the long hair and bigger guys, but
I will go with 4% like Dougie did, because once you get to a certain age, it's like, okay, good for you.
They don't look at you anymore.
No, it's true. 42% did not have high hopes and said between 1 and 25 of the women. That's 0.1% to 2.5%. So we were a little still above that with 4%. 24% said it's a little higher between 26 and 74 of them. That's 2.6 to 7.4. So we'd be at the 24% deal. It's about 2.6 to what you were talking about.
I'm just losing confidence over here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you went 150 to 200. Is that what you went?
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be like, I feel like you throw any guy in a room, 1,000 people, 100 can probably be like, okay. Like, do you shower every day? You're probably attracted to at least 10% of people.
Yeah.
Good point. Then we got 10% said a notch above that, 75 to and 99 of them. That's 7.5 to 9.9%. 15% said they'd turn heads, 100 to 200 of them. So there's AJ.
There we go.
That's 10 to 20%. 14% they'd be fawned over, with more than 200 of the 1,000 women being attracted to them, which is more than 20%. Where were you again, Tevin?
I said 30. But like, are we talking about?
I thought so. We haven't gotten to you yet.
I think, are we talking about like, oh my gosh, I need to marry that guy right now? That's the most impressive looking piece of meat I've ever seen. Or are we saying like,
I find that guy.
He's kind of cute.
He's
like,
handsome. He's a dapper guy. Like that type of stuff.
He's a dapper guy. I like that. That works for me. That's all I have to say. Okay. 14% say to be fawned over, with more than 200 of the 1,000 women being attracted to them, which is more than 20%. In the comments, one person said, if I walked in right now, it would be 0. But if I had a chance to shave and dress up a little, I'd get all the way up to 5. I like that person. Never met him, don't know who it is, but I like him anyway. Someone else said, can I talk to them for a few hours, or is it like a first sight based on appearance only stuff? That's a good argument, actually. Because if you get to talk to them, maybe they'd like you a little more or less. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, if I don't know, I think we all probably can admit there's people that we recognize are like, they're beautiful people, they're gorgeous people, but like they're not your type,
right?
But are they attractive? Yes. That doesn't mean that you want to, like Devin was saying, like, I need to get on my knees and propose right this second. Like, it's love at first sight. No, it's like, yeah, they're fun to look at.
I would say that attractive women are fun to look at. Yes. I wouldn't stare, because that gets a little creepy, but it all works.
And then Kevin walks in and all 1,000 sets of eyes turn in the room.
Oh God, Kevin's here. So we all have no chance.
That's confidence.
Yes, it is time to go to break. We'll be right back right after this.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, well, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Alley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings, or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we got Kristyn Burtt coming up in about 10 minutes, somewhere in there, a little shorter than that maybe. But who doesn't love Kristyn Burtt? That's all I'm saying. I don't want to read the story. I just want to read the headline.
Okay.
Monkey attacks Starbucks drive-through window employee. A monkey jumped through the drive-through window at Starbucks.
I've already got.
That's how you know you've got a shitty job.
What's a monkey doing in the Starbucks drive-through?
Are they driving? Are they just passing through? If they're driving, are they in a moped? Or are they in a car, SUV, sedan? Like, what's the deal here?
That's absolutely true. Oh, by the way, this next story, I had the answer given to me a while ago by someone.
Okay.
And it's not included in here. What he told me was the biggest problem is not in here. The most common 4-digit pins, in other words, when you go to your bank to withdraw a little cash or whatever, that 4-digit pin, why would you use 1, 2, 3, 4?
How did I know you were going to say
Nobody's said that ever, though, Tom.
Well, it's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but, that's not the one he told me, though, is the most common. The second most common is 6969. Well, aren't you a sex machine? Oh, God.
There's a guy that doesn't have any money.
Yep.
He goes with 6969. But what I had heard, as far as that is all concerned, and do not do this, ladies and gentlemen, because thousands and thousands of people do it. My PIN at my bank, it's great because I can remember. It's 2025. No, don't do that. That's not a good idea to use this year, this current year as your PIN. Is not a good idea. Some people use their see. I don't use any of that stuff. None for you. You get nothing. So what's your PIN, Doug?
You were going to ask me, you tricky dog.
You tricky dog.
I don't have any money. I don't have a PIN.
Funny enough, I bet you already in the list that you read off, you probably already named Doug's PIN.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the three.
Well, he goes 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, he doesn't.
The countdown. No question about it. I did have a friend one time that said he used 9999. And I said, why did you use that? And he goes, that's my IQ. Oh, okay.
So I thought you were speaking German there for a second.
You guys drive gas cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got an electric and a gas one. Don't use the gas one very much, but lately when I've had to put gas in it, yeah, man. I think it's Quick Trip or something. I put in my credit card and it says, enter your PIN or press enter to bypass.
Yeah,
it's like, what's the point?
There's a lot of places where you can, it's either swipe and enter your PIN or you can press like the yellow circle button for credit, and so you can just bypass it.
Yeah,
it
what's the point then?
I think on those transactions, certain cards that you have that you use are set up to where if you bypass it, it'll alert the cardholder with like a text. It's like, hey, by the way, you just made this purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore it if that's what you did. Otherwise, text us back and we'll shut your card off.
See, I set alerts up for $1, so that way I know anytime there's a charge on my card, I get a text.
That's a good idea.
Every 3 years or so, I get somebody pirates the number and tries to buy
really?
tickets in Hawaii or something. Yeah.
I don't know if it's ever happened to me, but I don't think it has. I don't know.
Every few years. And the best was American Express. They'd actually call you.
Oh, yeah. When I was in college, I would go from Fargo to Minneapolis. And if I stopped somewhere to get gas, or like I get gas in Minneapolis, they'd shut my card off because they're like, your last 6 transactions have been in Fargo. What are you doing in Minneapolis? And I have to call and be like, hey, I'm trying to get home. Please unlock my card.
Last time they shut. I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
Very quickly, just I used to do the exact same thing when I was working at KNOX, or actually it was KVOX in Fargo, where you're talking about. KNOX is up in the northern part of North Dakota. But in any case, now I lost my train of thought. Nice flow to the show today. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, your card?
What the hell are we talking about?
You're saying
I did the same thing in Alexandria. When I drive home from Fargo or Grand Forks, I would always stop in Alexandria to be close enough to use it.
Yeah.
You know, because it does have what you said, unless you alert them somehow. And you don't want to go through that anyway. You can call them back, well, I'm alerting you to let you know that, you know, unless there's a history of it. Once you build a history, then you're okay.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I have a question for you, Tom.
Yes, sir.
How do you radio guys do that? Because you're the only ones that do it. You have apparently taken a class where you've memorized the call letters of every single radio station on the planet. And when you get together, I've interviewed both you and Lastman, and it's like, yeah, Big Johnny went to KL, but no, it's not KLBT, it's a KLIT. It's
right. And it used to be KL by
right. So do you take a class? I mean, how does this work?
I don't know, because I can remember the call letters of every station I ever worked for.
And every radio person that I've met has that same skill.
Really?
Every time you talk to somebody that's been on the radio for a long time, it always comes up in your conversation, because you'll talk about, you know, it's kind of like where are they now? And you know, we did middays at KSAN and San Fernando, wherever it is.
And I know that one side of the Mississippi starts with a K, right?
Yeah.
And then the other side's a W.
Yeah. W is east and K is west generally.
That's as far as I get as far as all these. I don't even know all of them in Minneapolis. But yeah, Tom, you'll wrap off like, 17 of them and know what guy was the midday, overnight. And everything.
I just guessed that was the second year at Brown Institute, just studying call letters.
Call letters 101.
That's not why I know it. You want to know why I know it?
I do.
That would include this current company I'm working with. I have been fired and rehired after a couple of years by every place I've ever worked. So that's why I know their call letters, because I've been there a couple of times. So that might have something to do with it. Although Hubbard didn't fire me, I was offered more money at another place. But then at the end of that was in 1975.
They didn't fire you, they just stopped sending you checks. The guy in Office Space.
They just told him not to come back.
Exactly right. Yes, don't ever come back, Tom. You did a great job, but just don't come back anymore, ever. We'll take a break. Be right back. Kristyn Burtt will join us right after this. This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you. They're making it through. Mike Lindell and his employees want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows now for only $14.98. Yes, I said $14.98. I cannot believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98, but it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get My Body Pillows for $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code TOM, or call 800-516-5146. Use promo code TOM to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now is only $14.98. Queens at $18.98 and Kings only $1 more. Not only that, orders $75 or more, ship absolutely free. MyPillow, baby. That's all I got to say.
Is that text you're sending so important that you missed your turn? Is that text you're sending so important that you ran the red light? Is that text you're sending so important you didn't see the ball coming onto the road or the child that followed? Hi, I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. When you take your eyes off the road for even 4 seconds, your vehicle travels 100 yards. That's the entire length of a football field. If you absolutely have to text, you need to pull off the road somewhere safe and do it from there. Texting and driving is against the law and can cause serious injury or even death to you and others. Now that is important. We hope you're never injured in a collision, but if you are, please contact us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Going farther with Mike Bryant on your side, seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw & Bryant.
I hosted my show on the radio for 40 years. Now I host the Tom Barnard Podcast, and I'll tell you, I've never seen the passion and engagement from our audience as I do now. I know we also have businesses that listen to our podcast, and it got me thinking, wouldn't it be great to help those businesses grow by telling my listeners about them? So
Here's the deal. If you own or handle marketing for a business, would like to have my audience buy your product or service, visit TomBernardShow.com, keyword partner, and we'll put together an ad campaign to help your business. That's TomBernardShow.com, keyword partner, and thank you for listening.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Kristyn Burtt, Entertainment News, brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Kristyn Burtt joining us. But I got to ask a question before. I didn't see this, and I apologize to the listener who sent it to me. Ask Judd about Kevin O'Connell. Was there some news about Kevin O'Connell?
We extended his contract, and so I don't know.
What do you
too
mean
many...
we?
I'm a part of the extended family.
Don't be that guy, Doug.
I've cried enough about this team. Where it is we now?
Kevin, we're going to need
Kevin was up all night negotiating contract.
I had to bring the people together so we could get the deal done.
When you invest a certain amount of time and dedication into following a team, you can say we. I'm fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I just had no idea. So Kevin O'Connell was signed to an extension, and Joe, who sent me that message, I don't know, doesn't sound like Joe's all that fond of the decision.
Well, the good news is we can talk about it tomorrow because he's not going anywhere for a few years.
Well, that's true. Good point. And neither is Kristyn Burtt. We're never letting her out of a deal.
You're never getting rid of me.
No, never get. KB1 and KB2 have to stay together forever.
Forever. Except I never see her anymore because I don't do the family.
Well, you will in the future. So that'll be good. Oh, my God. I just thought of you and Catherine on at the same time is going to be a disaster.
We haven't been on together in probably 2 years.
See? There you go.
Been a while.
It'll all work out in the end. So what's new in Hollywood? Is everything still on fire?
We still have another high wind alert through this afternoon. So we've been kind of just on edge, although it seems like they've gotten a good handle on both the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire, which is in Altadena. They're still burning, but the containment is, I think like the Eaton fire is in like 85% contained, and Palisades is probably somewhere in the 60s, I think. But we're still on edge. Hopefully we are going to have some rain this weekend. That is in the forecast. That will help with the fires. Although we do have to watch out for mudslides because all the brush has been burned in the hills, which then sends all of the mud and debris down the hill.
It's a tough road to hoe, no question. You've fought your way through it, KB2. I'm proud of you.
Doing our best and trying to help everyone who lost everything. In fact, last week I talked about how I was going to volunteer that day with my friends. We had signed up and everything. When we got there, they were like, "We don't need you. We have too many volunteers." They're turning volunteers away at a lot of places.
That's awesome.
LA has been really great. We were like, "But we want to help. You don't have a spot for us." It was like trying to get into a really like super elite club or restaurant. We're like, "We want to help." Like,
you can hand out water to the volunteers.
I know, right? The volunteer for the volunteers.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is a good problem to have, to be honest. And like I said, collectively, Los Angeles in the worst of times has shown the best of itself.
Yep. Very nice. I'm really happy to hear that. It's how the world's supposed to be.
It is. And I think that's been the nice thing. There's the sense of community in a city that often doesn't have community because it's so spread out. It's been nice to see everyone really pitching in for the long term, not just going, okay, let me help out for a day or let me just donate and run. People are committed to getting these neighborhoods rebuilt or getting people settled into another neighborhood.
You just gave me a beautiful memory. Thank you for doing that, because when our house burned to the ground when I was 11 years old, the Tyson family, which owned Tyson Food Markets in Minnesota, took me in and could not have been nicer to me. Took me to see the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh,
I mean, wow. I would have, but
they were awesome.
They were great. But the great thing about that is you mentioning that just made my heart feel glad, because it brought back great memories of people being nice to one another. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And I think the other big story that came out of this, other than, the devastation and then people collectively coming together, has been the need for local news. Our local news ratings were tripling during the height of the crisis, which kind of leads me to this story. Byron Allen, and I think we mentioned that he bought the Weather Channel. I don't know if everyone remembers this. Mm-hmm. He bought the Weather Channel, and now, because he also owns affiliates, he is laying off a lot of the meteorologists at the 36 stations he owns in 21 different markets, because what he's going to do is feed it from Atlanta. They're going to work with the team at the Weather Channel and just feed it out to the local stations. And I tell you, after just experiencing this crisis, I'm sure a lot of people in Florida would probably also agree with me when they've experienced hurricanes, North Carolina, Tennessee, anyone who's had a natural disaster in the last year. Your local meteorologists, reporters, anchors are crucial in a time of crisis because they understand the flavor, the atmosphere, the sense of community.
Well, they know what the key road intersections are for evacuations and stuff like that. And you're right.
Yeah. Traffic reporters. That's a great point, Doug. And that's it. Someone from Atlanta, because that's where Weather Channel is based, is not going to be able to tell Indiana if they're experiencing a tornado. Really grasp. They're going to be able to grasp the weather of it, but they're not going to be able to grasp the local flavor of what's happening.
Right. Oh, by the way, to a listener, no smart ass. It was not Mike Tyson I stayed with. It was the Tyson family, but it was Theison. Not, you stayed
not
with
Iron Mike.
Yeah, Iron Mike. I'm a little older than Iron Mike, too. Let's not forget that. So it would have been kind of difficult. In any case, so you're getting through that. Everything else.
Well, I don't know if local news markets are getting through that, Tom.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's really a sad thing.
Well, that's the world now. But that is the world now. I control it, so therefore I'm going to. They do so much harm when they do things like that. I just don't get it.
Yeah, well, I think for me too. I mean, obviously Byron Allen is a billionaire, but he does live in Los Angeles. I went and checked because he owns a home in Malibu, and I thought, did his home survive? It looks like it did, but I was like, you know exactly what's happening. But obviously these layoffs probably were in the works for months and months now because he's had plans for the Weather Channel. But I just find that disappointing.
Well, but he's a great example for a people because even a no talent like him can become a billionaire.
There's hope, Tevin.
Yeah, every day I wake up and I just have a picture of Byron Allen on my front door.
Yeah, there you go.
I will be a billionaire despite having no talent, according to everyone on the Tom Barnard Show. I think you have talent, Tevin. So
thank you.
I didn't say anything about Tevin. I was talking about other folks.
Tevin, if I'm keeping you back from being a billionaire, then have no talent. I don't know.
No, I think there's more than just you holding me back from being a billionaire. But I do have a couple questions for you, Kristyn, because it feels like now that kind of the fires are under control, shows are starting to be announced more of their release dates for 2025. So I have a slew of them. If you have any information, let me know. Reacher, we've got Suits, LA, obviously coming out, Last of Us Season 2, Gen V, Stranger Things, Wednesday Season 2. Is this kind of going to be a good slate of shows coming out in 2025?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Suits LA kind of had news just a couple days ago because they released their trailer. It will be February 23rd on NBC. It looks really good, I'm going to be honest. And I think the one thing about this one is that they keep on harping on the fact that this is within the Suits universe. So if you watch Suits on USA or Netflix or Peacock when it came out on streaming, you will probably see some familiar faces. Gabrielle Mocht for sure has been confirmed as a recurring character, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're holding back on some of the other cameos. If anyone's looking for Rachel Zane, I don't know if Meghan Markle's returning to acting. I haven't heard anything of the sort, but she may be the only one not returning. But I do love that they're keeping it within the universe and within the same time period so people can come and go from that. So that I think is going to be a really big hit for NBC, to be honest.
I need her to come back, play her character, and have her character listen to the real life Meghan Markle's podcast and act like they don't know. That would be an amazing fourth wall break, but then nonchalantly promoted. That'd be amazing.
The Spotify show that got canceled.
Yes.
Or the new Netflix show. They can cross promote her new Netflix show with Love Meghan, which comes out March 4th.
There we go.
And that one was postponed due to the wildfires because it's such a California-centric show. The big tone and the big debate still has been, do you postpone the award shows or do you cancel them or whatever? They're going to go on, and they're going to go on at the same time frame. And I think the argument, and I agree with this, is that there's too much of a support industry that would be affected by canceling or postponing these award shows. We talk about makeup artists and drivers and caterers and florists and all of those things. They've been too hard hit between the pandemic and the strikes. We want to move forward, but I think all of the award shows are going to take on a much different tone. We've already seen some of the parties either like be canceled or scaled back or be fundraisers. So that's how they're going to move forward, because you just can't do the same celebratory tone when everyone's just lost their home in Los Angeles.
Yeah, good move. I think it's a good move, don't you?
I think it's super smart because it does keep the economy moving. But it also doesn't say, hey, we're just ignoring what just happened here, because we kicked off the year. And let me tell you, it was a gut punch for so many people.
This is a question for all of you, because it was, we've been getting a lot of rain and all that stuff. So I figured, the weather around, at least from the Mississippi east, has not been all that great. Catherine and I looked for a movie to go see in a movie theater, because I used to love going to movie theaters, but I haven't been in a while. There's nothing to see in the movie theaters. Are they going to all just go away?
Have you watched that Bob Dylan movie yet, Tom?
No, I heard it's good, though.
Then go watch that. It's good.
Or the new SZA movie is supposed to be phenomenal.
What movie?
What's it? The Worst Day Ever? Or what's?
Oh, I know.
Kristyn.
The one with Keke Palmer.
Yeah. And SZA, that was supposed to be phenomenal.
They're doing everything that sounds they all sound alike. Nobody wants this, and
one of them days.
Yeah, that's supposed to be really funny. And I was like, I don't know if I'll go to the theater. I'm waiting for that one on streaming, to be honest.
There you go.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes right now with a 7.2 IMDb score.
Wow.
Keke Palmer is so underrated. I know that she's like, most people know who she is. I think she should be leveling up, though. She should be a bigger star than she already is.
Absolutely.
I think she's funny. She's so great to interview. Have you ever interviewed Keke Palmer, Tom?
I believe so, but I'll check. I could check on that. I think I have.
Yeah. I love her. Wicked's still playing in theaters. That is a big screen movie that you should see.
3 hours long? I don't think so.
Singing? You got to go.
Singing and dancing. For anyone who hasn't seen it, who likes musicals, that's a big screen movie. That's not a small screen movie. The big screen movies, I mean, we know we have Mission Impossible coming out this summer.
Right.
Those are the movies that you go to the theater to go see. You want the big sound. You want the action. You want to be around other people. But, when you talk about something like Keke Palmer, I'm like, that one I'll wait for streaming, because I'm going to be the person buying the popcorn and the soda.
Right.
And I'm dropping $20 on the ticket alone. For $40 by the time everything's said and done, I'm like, I'll watch it from home.
I remember going to the Empress Theater for $25.
Well, here's the other thing. This is going to be interesting. And I wonder if we're reaching the point where things are tying the movie theater, because Netflix just announced another increase in subscriptions. That is going to happen in your next billing cycle, everyone. So if you have the basic plan, it's going up $1 from $6.99 to $7.99. If you have the ad-free, it goes from $15.49 per month to $17.99 per month. If you have the super premium deluxe package, it's $22.99 originally. Now it's going to $24.99. This is their first price increase since October 2023. But it is just as they announced that they have 19 million new subscribers, and globally they now have 301 million subscribers.
My costs should be going down. If you're giving that many new subscribers.
How do we celebrate this big news? The only thing is, if you have Netflix stock, that's going up.
Yeah.
All right,
I bought
Doug.
it 2 years ago, right when they tanked. It's like Netflix is not going away.
Netflix has won the race, other than YouTube. YouTube is the number one of all the streaming networks. Number 2 is Netflix, and number 3 now is Prime. Prime was not in that number 3 spot, but it is now, thanks to the NFL.
I will tell you something that's a true story. Just a few years ago, Alex and her family were in town. I said, what would you like to watch? To 2-year-old Sage. He was 2 at the time. So would you like to watch? And I'm thinking he's going to come with, whatever.
The Wire.
Bluey.
Yeah. Netflix. He didn't say Bluey. He just said Netflix. I was like, this kid knows the name of the channel.
Toss over that remote, bop, and I'll
The Alpha Gen is smarter than all of us. They know how to scroll by 6 months, and they know all the brand names and where they should be watching. I don't know if they know how to go outside the way we did.
Well, yeah. There's the
So
argument.
they know how to go outside and play. Like if you sent them out to the backyard with no toys, no screens, would they know how to use their imagination and build a fort? I don't know.
Throwing rocks at other kids is funny no matter when you were born. They'll figure it out.
Well, I grew up in a cul-de-sac, and every single night, all the neighborhood kids, we would get out and play kickball. And let me tell you, we were not a big enough cul-de-sac. There were only 4 houses, and we were not big enough to form a real team, to be honest. But we would still manage to play kickball in some way, shape, or form.
Wonderful.
But that was what we did.
That's great news, though. I mean, that's fantastic. So these subscription services are doing extremely well. Now, I have a question for you. What are they going to do with all these, companies that own a lot of, TV stations and have to put on a local news? And I suppose local news still does okay, but does it do as well as it used to? Does anyone know?
I will say in the LA market right now, it's doing extremely well.
Well, that's probably true. Yeah.
And a couple of our stations, like KCAL, is primarily news all day long. They do 1 or 2 hours of daytime programming, like a talk show or something. They don't do any soap operas or anything. And then it's just news. It's news from the morning all the way into the evening hours, and then they shift. So there is a need for it. I mean, in California, we also love to do our high-speed chases, which are really low-speed chases, but we love to interrupt for those.
Yes.
I don't know why people think they're going to outrun the cops in LA, but we all know how that ends. But there is a need for it. And we really saw that need for it in the last couple of weeks here in Los Angeles. I think Florida would also agree with that, or any place else that deals with tornadoes regularly, hurricanes,
I just got a message from somebody I might be married to saying that television we used to watch for free back in the days before there was the internet, it's now costing us about $300 a month.
Tom.
Yeah, but it's color now.
Yeah, that's the big difference.
But Tom, you subscribe to everything and you rent movies regularly too. So you probably are on the top end of entertainment.
Think about that. $3,600 a year to watch something that used to be free.
Welcome.
I mean, you can cut all those subscriptions out and then just watch your local news free if you just get rabbit ears.
Get some rabbit ears. That's a good look. That would be great. No
Tom
question.
Barnard in the media with his rabbit ears.
What are people going to do? Because I see that, God, the stat, I can't remember the exact stat, but I'll round it up, that 96% of Americans make less than a certain amount of money, like just under $100,000 a year or something. How is that possible that how can they even survive?
They're not.
Odder if you back the lens up and you look at the world, and I'm not going to get the number quite right, but if you make $37,000 a year or more, you are in the wealthiest 2% of people on the planet.
That is unbelievable. That's exactly the thing I was looking at, I think, Doug. You and I are looking at the same thing. I had no idea that was the case, that many people. It's not like they're living in poverty, but they do struggle to get by on a daily basis.
A lot of them are. I mean, you've been to Cuba. You were talking about that last week. I heard you.
Yeah.
What do you make there? $150 a month?
Yep. And you better like chicken if you're going to Cuba, because that's what you're going to eat. I can promise you that.
But I mean, think about it too. In the United States, people are living paycheck to paycheck, and they may be even maybe their household income is over 100,000, and they're still struggling because corporate profits are rising, but wages are not. That is not kept up.
Think about that. There's 4% between the poorest people and people that make $1 billion a year. It goes from here to here, and it goes from 37,000 to about, several million. A billion for some people.
I read this yesterday. They think that, in the next 10 years that there'll be 4 or 5 trillionaires in the world. And it's the likely suspects, Musk and Bezos and
Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
All the good people.
I think, something we saw here in Los Angeles is that you're one step away from being homeless. And people who lost their homes, a lot of them are not going to be able to afford to rebuild those homes because of the insurance crisis. Like there's so many things sort of playing into what's happening. A lot of people will have medical crises, again.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Kristyn. Are the people of Hollywood excited that Sylvester Stallone and Jon Voight are the ambassadors?
Yeah, along with Mel Gibson, another quality person.
The sense of relief has to be overwhelming.
I mean, we're just so excited. I mean, to me, out of the group of three, the one who's still really at the top of his game would be Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. He lives in Florida. Totally makes sense that, he's sort of in the mix. He, along with Jon Voight, were at the inauguration. Mel Gibson just lost his home in Malibu. So I think he's been dealing with that. Yeah, he did. So he did not attend the inauguration. But I do think that if I think of like the next wave of Hollywood, I'm not looking to men in their 70s and 80s as saving Hollywood. I actually am looking to maybe Gen Z and their fresh ideas of how we come together collectively to save the industry. And of course you work with different generations, so you have certain ideas, but to me, it's the Gen Z leaders now that are going to be moving Hollywood forward at this point. So they didn't even know that they were ambassadors. Mel Gibson said, "Oh, I found out on True Social when everybody else did." So there was no conversation happening. Yeah, which I mean, to me, it was like, that just totally sounds like Trump. Like, I'm going to come up with this idea. I'm not going to let anyone know. I'm just going to tweet it out. And we'll see what that means. It sounds like it's just a figurehead.
I think it's situation. A ceremonial thing, but I'm like, I was tongue in cheek when I asked.
It is. And, it probably guarantees that they'll get invited to certain state dinners that might need some celebrity,
And they might be able to do good. I mean, they're in the industry, and if they could shine a little light on it, it's not going to hurt anything. I just thought it was funny. Because when was the last time we ever heard a group of people say, "Thankfully, we have an ambassador"?
Right.
Never. But I will say, if they can do something, and I don't know if they can, where we're losing ground is in the Chinese market. They're doing their own films. They're no longer really showing a lot of the American films. If you can make headway there, that was a big chunk of our market. In terms of profits, that'd be great. Sylvester Stallone probably is the only one who would be able to make a dent in that. Yeah. The other two really aren't in the zeitgeist in terms of pop culture anymore. I don't know. Mel Gibson, I know, is still making films. Jon Voight, I hear more about him fighting with his daughter Angelina Jolie.
But that's been going on for what? Only 47 years? Yeah.
Decades. But that's the only thing I really hear about when it comes to Jon Voight. He's had a great career, but not in terms of 2024, 2025. We're not hearing about him much.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, sister, another great report. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Thanks a lot, Kristyn. It just goes with a fake voice. I love that.
See y'all tomorrow.
Hey, great talking to you. I've got a disc jockey voice now, and I want you to know it.
Tomorrow, I'm going to do the whole thing in a radio voice.
There you go. We need it. All right, talk to you tomorrow. Family show up in about 10 minutes. Thank you.